When something shines in the dark, even the smallest flicker, the eyes of all are drawn to it, not because the flame cries out, not because it clamors for attention, but because light is not meant to be hidden. The world, whether it admits it or not, is hungry for light, and so when God sets someone apart, when he marks a soul with his purpose, it is inevitable that others will watch. They cannot help themselves. It is not always comfortable to be watched, to walk into a room and sense the quiet weighing of your steps, the unseen measuring of your words, the subtle glances that ask silently, "Why is he different? Why is she not as the rest of us?" But such attention is not punishment. It is the echo of heaven's mark upon you. The world recognizes, perhaps dimly, perhaps unwillingly, that you are not your own. Think of a soldier who has been called from the ranks and given a commission. He is no longer free to drift with the crowd. The insignia on his shoulder tells everyone who he belongs to, and suddenly every act, even the smallest, is scrutinized. So it is with you. When God sets you apart, he does not make you invisible. He clothes you with a calling that cannot be hidden, and men will watch to see if you walk worthy of it. Some will watch in admiration, hoping to catch a glimpse of the secret that steadies you in storms. Others will watch in doubt, waiting for you to stumble, hoping your fall will excuse their unbelief. And still others will watch in silence, neither friend nor foe, yet inwardly longing to know if the hope you carry is real. Do not be surprised by this. It is the way of those marked by God's hand. But hear this, you were not set apart merely to be observed. You were set apart to bear witness. The eyes upon you are not your burden. They are your opportunity. When they watch, let them see not perfection, but faithfulness. Let them see a heart that rises again when it has fallen, that forgives when it has been wronged, that clings to hope when the night is longest. Such things cannot be counterfeited, and such things will awaken questions in the watching soul that no sermon alone could stir. There is a weight to being different, yes, but there is also a glory, for the light you carry is not your own. You are like the moon, barren rock in yourself, yet radiant because you reflect the sun. That reflection is what the world cannot turn away from, even when it mocks, even when it resists. They are not drawn to you, they are drawn to the one who shines through you. So walk carefully, but not fearfully. You were not set apart to shrink, but to stand. You were not called to be hidden, but to be a signpost pointing beyond yourself. The watching world may misunderstand you, but it will not forget you. For when God sets a soul apart, he writes upon it a story too luminous to be ignored. And so, take courage in your difference. Take heart in the eyes that follow you. They are watching because deep down they sense it too. God has set you apart, and the mark of his choosing cannot be erased. When light appears in a place of darkness, no one needs to be told to look at it, for their eyes are drawn without command. Even the faintest glow holds a kind of quiet authority, a silent pull that cannot be ignored. It is the nature of light to reveal, to distinguish itself from what surrounds it, to make visible what was once unseen. When God marks a person and sets them apart, it is as though he has placed that light within them, and no matter how ordinary they may appear, they cannot go unnoticed. The world has always been attracted to what is different, what is uncommon, what does not blend into the shadows, and so it is no surprise that when the hand of God rests upon a life, people cannot help but watch. They may not even fully understand why they are watching, but something in them senses that there is more to this life than meets the eye. The mystery of being marked by God is that you do not need to strive for attention. It comes to you. Just as a candle does not beg for the eyes of the room, but still becomes the focus because it is the only flame, so you, when set apart, draw others simply by existing as who you are called to be. There is a certain weight to this reality, for you may wish at times to fade into the background, to go unnoticed, to be left alone in anonymity. Yet the mark of God cannot be hidden, and the light of God refuses to be covered. Just as the city on a hill cannot be concealed, and the lamp under a basket loses its purpose, so too does the life set apart stand out without effort. There will be moments when this watching feels heavy, when you sense eyes measuring your words, your choices, your steps, and you long for the freedom to be unseen. But the reason they look is not because you sought it, but because God Himself has made you distinct. You were called out from among the crowd, not because you were better, but because grace chose you, and that choice itself has left an imprint visible to others. They do not always know what they see. Some may call it strength, others integrity, others still may label it strangeness, but deep down, whether admitted or denied, they perceive that you carry something not born of yourself. Consider the nature of fire in a night field. Animals, wanderers, strangers, whoever passes cannot help but pause to look. Fire carries warmth, danger, mystery, and guidance all at once. So it is with the light within those whom God has set apart. It attracts for many reasons. Some are drawn because they long for warmth, some because they desire direction, and some because they are curious or even fearful of what they do not understand. Yet none can ignore it. Their eyes return, their steps pause, their hearts wrestle with the quiet question, what is it about this one that is different? There is a paradox here, for though you may feel small, though you may believe yourself unworthy, though your own voice may whisper that you are ordinary, still the world sees otherwise. For what God places upon you is not your own doing, and it shines whether you feel ready for it or not. In fact, the most powerful light is often born in the frailest vessels, so that none may mistake the source. The attention you receive is not for your glory, but for the reflection of a greater glory that refuses to be silenced. This is why light cannot be hidden. It does not ask permission to shine. It does not seek validation before it spreads. Its very nature is to pierce the dark and call attention to itself without words. To be watched in this way is to live as a witness, even when you are silent. Your life becomes its own testimony. The way you endure difficulty, the way you show kindness when bitterness would be easier, the way you stand when others fall, these are not merely private victories. They are public signals that others cannot overlook. You may not realize who is paying attention, but many are. Some you see, others you never will. The stranger who notices your patience in a line, the coworker who observes your calm under pressure, the neighbor who sees your consistency in faith, all of these eyes are drawn to you because the light in you reveals something different. There is both comfort and challenge in this truth. Comfort, because you know that the weight you feel is not random, but a sign that you are indeed carrying the presence of the one who chose you. Challenge, because you cannot escape the responsibility that comes with it. Light does not get to decide if it wants to shine. Its very being is to do so. And so with you, the mark of God means that whether you wish it or not, you will be seen, and your actions will speak even when your mouth does not. The beauty of this reality is that it proves something beyond yourself. For if light draws attention in a room, it does so not because it cries out, but because it is different from its surroundings. The more the world watches, the more it unwittingly acknowledges that there is a difference to be seen. Some may resist it, some may mock it, but still they look. Even the scoffer testifies by his gaze that he cannot ignore what has been placed in front of him. In this way, every glance becomes a kind of witness, every stare a subtle recognition that God has done something distinct in you. The temptation will come to cover the light, to quiet the difference, to bend yourself into the shape of the crowd so that the eyes will turn away. But to do so would be to deny the very reason you were set apart, for God's intention was never that you would blend, but that you would shine. His purpose was never anonymity, but testimony. To embrace the light is to accept the gaze, to welcome the fact that people will notice, question, and sometimes even misunderstand. Yet their watching is not your enemy. It is the natural result of being marked by a God who refuses to leave his chosen ones indistinguishable from the rest. Even when you do not speak of him, your life speaks of him. Even when you do not declare his name, the glow of your choices, your endurance, and your faith declare him more powerfully than words. And so it is no surprise that they are watching. It is not a coincidence, nor is it a burden meant to crush you. It is the evidence that God has placed his light within you, and light, by its very nature, cannot be hidden. To be watched is rarely comfortable. There is a weight in feeling the eyes of others, a quiet pressure that reminds you that your steps are no longer your own. Yet when God sets you apart, This attention is not a punishment, nor is it some random intrusion upon your life. It is, rather, the natural consequence of being chosen. You may not have asked for it, you may not feel prepared for it, but it comes to you because you have been marked. Being watched is not evidence that you are failing, it is evidence that heaven has placed its hand upon you. Those eyes upon you, whether kind or critical, are the very confirmation that you do not belong to the ordinary path, but to a higher calling. It is easy to think of scrutiny as judgment, to resent the gaze of others, to wish that you could slip quietly through life unseen. But those who are called do not walk an unseen path. They carry a flame, and flames draw attention. A soldier who has been given rank does not walk in the same anonymity as before. His insignia speaks before he does, and the eyes of others measure whether his conduct matches his commission. In the same way, your life, once marked by God, cannot pass unnoticed. People may not understand what it is about you, but they sense it. They feel the distinction even if they cannot name it. They may study your words, weigh your choices, even search for your flaws, but they do so because they perceive that you are different. This watching is not meant to crush you, it is meant to remind you. For every pair of eyes upon you, every whispered word, every silent glance is evidence that you are living under a calling greater than yourself. God did not set you apart to vanish into obscurity. He set you apart so that his work within you might be seen. The world looks because it is drawn, even when it resists. Some will look with admiration, longing to find in you the strength they lack. Some will look with skepticism, hoping to prove that you are no different from them. Some will look with curiosity, unable to explain why they are compelled to observe you. All of these responses, though varied, flow from the same source. You are marked. Do not mistake this attention as something you earned. It is not a reflection of your own greatness, but of the one who placed his seal upon you. The gaze of the crowd is not truly on you, it is on what shines through you. If you carried only yourself, you would blend into the mass, unnoticed and unremarkable. But since God's hand rests on you, your very presence demands attention. This is why you cannot escape the watching of others, for it is not about you at all, but about the one who chose you. Their eyes are searching for the invisible reality they sense around you, and your life becomes the evidence of that unseen truth. There is discipline in learning to accept this. To live under constant observation requires patience, humility, and courage. You cannot live carelessly when you know others are watching. Yet this is not a burden, it is an honor. It means that your life has become a message. Your perseverance in trials, your kindness when wronged, your hope in despair. These things speak more loudly than words, and people notice them even when they never tell you. They may never voice the impact, never confess their curiosity, but still they watch, and what they see may be the very thing that stirs them toward belief. Some may grow hostile because of it. Not everyone enjoys the light, and many will prefer to turn their gaze into criticism. Yet even their hostility proves the point. They are only hostile because they cannot ignore what they see. Darkness does not attack darkness, it attacks the light. Your distinction agitates them, not because of who you are, but because of what you represent. Even then, their opposition is backhanded proof of your calling. They see something worth resisting, which means they see something real. Others, however, will be quietly strengthened by your example. They may not tell you, but your endurance becomes their courage. Your faithfulness becomes their hope. Your ability to stand becomes the reason they believe standing is possible. This is why your calling carries responsibility. It is not only your own story at stake, but the stories of those watching from the sidelines, drawing strength from your walk. Without ever knowing it, you may be the reason someone else holds on for another day. You may not always feel worthy of such responsibility. You may feel weak, small, even unfit for the gaze you carry. Yet it is in your weakness that the truth shines brightest. People do not need to see perfection. They need to see perseverance. They do not need to see a flawless image, but a real soul clinging to hope, rising when fallen, pressing forward when weary. This is what captures attention because it speaks to the universal longing within every human heart, to know that there is something greater than failure, something stronger than despair. When you live this out, however imperfectly, you embody a truth that others cannot ignore. This is why being watched is not punishment but calling. You are not placed under scrutiny to be shamed, but to be a signpost. Your life points beyond itself. Every eye that rests upon you, every observer who wonders, is being drawn not to you but through you. The mark of God upon you is a silent sermon, a testimony without words, and those who watch are, in their own way, hearing it. You may never know the full effect, but heaven sees it. What feels to you like a weight is, in reality, a witness. And so, do not despise the eyes upon you. Do not resent the attention, even when it feels uncomfortable. Remember that you are not being watched because you are perfect, but because you are chosen. You are not observed because you sought it, but because God Himself has written His name upon you. To be set apart is to live differently, and to live differently is to be seen. The world cannot help itself. They must watch. They will measure, they will question, they will study, but through it all, the truth remains the same. This watching is not your burden, but your confirmation. It is the sign that the call of God on your life is real, visible, undeniable. When people watch you, they are not merely looking with idle eyes. They are searching, whether they realize it or not. They are hungry for something beyond themselves, something their hearts cannot name but deeply desire. Observation becomes more than curiosity, it becomes opportunity. Your life is not simply being noticed. It is being studied as a possible answer to questions others are afraid to voice. They wonder how you endure when storms rage, how you stand when the ground shakes, how you forgive when wronged, how you hope when hope seems foolish. They may not ask aloud, but their eyes are asking silently, is there something real here, something solid enough to hold on to, something worth believing in? This is why being set apart is not a private matter. It is not only for your own growth or your own journey, but for the unseen lives around you who take their cues from what they see in you. You are, often unknowingly, a living letter read by many. Some will read you with skepticism, trying to find flaws in your words and actions, hoping to discredit what you represent. Others will read you with longing, desperate to know if there is truly a way to live differently, to rise above the chaos that grips them. Still others will read you with curiosity, not sure what they are looking for but unable to turn away. Your very existence as someone set apart becomes a message written in actions more than in speeches. The beauty of this is that it requires no stage, no microphone, no spotlight. The opportunity comes in the daily details. The way you handle disappointment becomes a testimony. The way you show patience in inconvenience becomes a sermon. The way you treat those who cannot repay you speaks louder than any public declaration. These small moments are often overlooked by you, but they are magnified in the eyes of those watching. They are gathering evidence, testing whether what you carry is genuine, and your consistency in the ordinary becomes the most persuasive argument. It is important to understand that people are not only watching your victories, they are watching your failures. They look to see how you respond when things do not go your way, when life wounds you, when your strength falters. And strangely, it is often in your weaknesses that the greatest opportunity lies. For when they see you fall but rise again, when they see you hurt but still forgive, when they see you weary but still moving forward, they encounter a hope that cannot be explained by human effort alone. They see resilience beyond what is natural, and it stirs something deep within them. Your brokenness, when met with grace, speaks more powerfully than your strength ever could. This is why you should not despise being observed. You may feel unworthy, unpolished, unprepared for such scrutiny, but the truth is that your imperfections make the testimony all the more compelling. If you were flawless, they would dismiss you as unattainable. But when you are real, when your humanity shows and yet you still reflect something divine, they are confronted with the possibility that the same hope could be theirs. They are watching not for a perfect life, but for a faithful one. Faithfulness is what convinces, because it demonstrates endurance in the midst of imperfection. Opportunity also comes in silence. You may never know who is watching, never hear their questions, never receive their gratitude. The co-worker who notices your calm, the child who sees your integrity, the neighbor who quietly observes your kindness. These hidden eyes are forming conclusions about life, hope, and faith by what they see in you. You may not hear their stories, but your life is shaping them nonetheless. This is why the calling is so significant. Every moment carries the potential to become a turning point for someone else. You are living evidence of something greater, and your ordinary choices ripple outward in ways you cannot measure. There will always be those who watch with wrong motives. Some will watch to criticize, to catch you in hypocrisy, to reassure themselves that your difference is not real. Even this is an opportunity, for when they look hard enough, determined to expose weakness, they will still encounter something they cannot explain, a grace that carries you where strength cannot. Their watching may be intended as a trap, but it can become the very thing that softens them. Even those who oppose you cannot escape the witness of your life. And then there are those who watch from a distance, never speaking, never drawing near, yet taking courage from your unseen influence. They may never approach you, but your example becomes their quiet strength. Perhaps it helps them believe there is purpose in suffering, or meaning in perseverance, or beauty in kindness. These silent observers are proof that your calling is never wasted. Even when you feel unseen, you are being read, and the story they read may awaken in them a hope that alters the course of their lives. The opportunity lies in your willingness to embrace this reality. To live as if eyes are always upon you is not to live in fear, but to live in awareness. It means choosing integrity when no one seems to notice, because someone always does. It means showing kindness when it feels unimportant, because to someone else it may be unforgettable. It means carrying hope when despair is easier, because another soul is deciding whether hope is possible at all. The stage is larger than you think, and the audience is often hidden, but the impact is undeniable. The very act of being watched means your life matters beyond yourself. It means your journey has been appointed as a testimony, that your steps have become signposts pointing beyond you. People are not merely observing, they are seeking. They are longing for evidence that life can be more than survival, that faith can endure, that love can truly transform. And when they find it in you, however imperfectly reflected, their watching becomes the beginning of their own awakening. This is why every glance is opportunity. What feels to you like pressure is, in truth, the privilege of being used to reveal something eternal. You do not need to speak eloquently or act flawlessly. You only need to live faithfully. The rest will be seen by those who cannot help but watch, and in their watching they may encounter the very hope that changes everything. You are not meant to shine by your own power. The mark of being set apart is not that you carry something born from yourself, but that you reflect something far greater. Just as the moon hangs in the sky without producing a single spark of light, yet becomes radiant by reflecting the brilliance of the sun, so too your life is radiant because of the one who shines through you. The world may look and see strength, resolve, wisdom, or kindness in you, but what they are truly seeing is not you at all. It is the light of God mirrored through the fragile vessel of your life. This is why people cannot ignore you even when you feel ordinary. The light that catches their eyes is not your invention, it is His presence in you. This truth both humbles and strengthens. It humbles because it removes the illusion that you are the source. Left to yourself, you are only stone, only clay, only a fragment without glow. Yet it strengthens because it assures you that you do not need to manufacture the light that others see. You do not need to strain to appear radiant or strive to be flawless. Your task is to turn your face toward the source, to remain in alignment with the one whose light never fades. When you do, His brilliance naturally reflects through you, and it is that reflection which compels the world to watch. Reflection has its own kind of purity. It means that the glory others notice is not proof of your perfection, but proof of His sufficiency. When you forgive, it is not merely your generosity, it is His mercy shining through. When you endure, it is not simply your determination, it is His strength sustaining you. When you love, it is not only your kindness, it is His heart beating through your actions. Every good thing observed in you is a mirror of something greater. The world may not recognize the source, but they cannot deny the radiance. They may attribute it to character or willpower, but deep within, They know they are glimpsing something not easily explained. The beauty of being a reflector is that you need not fear your limitations. The moon waxes and wanes, yet it never loses its ability to reflect the sun when the time comes. In the same way, you will have seasons of strength and seasons of weakness, days when your light seems bright and days when it seems faint. But the source has not changed, and the moment you lift your gaze toward him again, his light fills the cracks of your weakness and spills out for others to see. Your life does not shine because you are unbroken, it shines because you are willing to face the one who never dims. This reality explains why people stare even when you feel so unremarkable. They are not seeing you, they are seeing through you. They are encountering something that stretches beyond your personality, beyond your skills, beyond your background. It is why even in silence your presence carries weight. The same way moonlight fills a night with a kind of quiet wonder, your life fills the spaces you occupy with a reflection of divine presence, and people cannot ignore it. They are drawn, sometimes without knowing why, because light has a pull all its own. Yet reflection also carries responsibility. The moon that turns its face away from the sun ceases to reflect its brilliance. In the same way, when you turn your heart from God, the light others see begins to fade, not because he has changed, but because you have withheld your gaze. Your ability to reflect is tied to your posture. You cannot reveal what you are not beholding. To live as one set apart is to live continually turned toward the source, aware that the moment you align yourself with him, his glory naturally spills outward through your life. There is something freeing in this. It releases you from the pressure to perform. You do not have to craft perfection or manufacture radiance. You need only to dwell in his presence, to keep your face lifted toward his light, and the reflection will take care of itself. People will watch and wonder, not because you are extraordinary, but because you are surrendered. They are not captivated by you, but by the light you carry, and that is exactly as it should be. For if they were captivated by you, they would be left with only admiration. But when they are captivated by the light in you, they are left with hope. This is also why the watching world may react with both attraction and discomfort. Light comforts those who long for it, but exposes those who resist it. Some will be drawn to you because the reflection awakens their hunger. Others may turn away, unsettled by what they see, because the light reminds them of shadows they would rather ignore. Do not be dismayed by either reaction. Both prove the same reality. The reflection in you is real enough to demand a response. People cannot remain neutral in the presence of true light. They must either come closer to it or retreat from it, but either way, they cannot pretend it does not exist. You may not always notice the effect, but others do. A single quiet act of integrity may linger in someone's memory for years. A moment of compassion may shine in their darkness long after you have forgotten it. This is the power of reflection. It reaches farther than you know, it endures longer than you realize, it speaks even when you are silent. Your life becomes a living mirror that bends the light of heaven into the paths of those around you. Without knowing it, you illuminate roads for others who are stumbling in the dark. Reflection is not about grandeur, it is about faithfulness. The moon does not compete with the sun, it simply reflects. It does not apologize for its barrenness, nor does it boast in its brightness. It takes its place in the sky, aligned with its source, and the world looks up in awe. So it is with you. You are not called to outshine anyone, nor to diminish yourself in false humility. You are called to remain aligned, to let the light fall upon you and through you, until those who watch cannot help but glimpse the source behind the reflection. And though you may never hear the full impact, know that your reflection is shaping lives. Some will see in you the possibility of grace, some the reality of endurance, some the beauty of love. Each glimpse is a seed planted, each moment of light a spark in the dark corners of another soul. What you reflect is not wasted. It is building testimony upon testimony, a silent witness that lingers far beyond your awareness. And this is why, though you are only a mirror, you are a necessary one. For without the mirror, many would never see the light when God sets someone apart. He writes a story upon their life that cannot be erased, a story that glows with a light too distinct for the world to overlook. People may not understand it, they may resist it, they may even oppose it, but they cannot forget it. Marked lives leave impressions that time cannot easily wash away. Just as footprints in wet cement harden into permanence, so too the life that carries God's mark imprints itself upon the memory of those who encounter it. The details may fade, the circumstances may change, but the sense of difference remains. It is this lingering sense that makes your story luminous. You become more than a passerby in the lives of others. You become a marker, a signpost, a reminder that they have seen something greater. The mark of God has always carried weight throughout history. Those who bore it, whether kings, prophets, poets, or the seemingly ordinary, could not blend into the background of their time. Their presence altered the atmosphere. Their words echoed beyond their own lifetimes. Their choices rippled outward, touching lives they never personally knew. In the same way, your life, though you may see it as small or hidden, becomes part of a larger design that extends far beyond what you can measure. You may underestimate your influence, but others do not. They are struck by what sets you apart, and though they may not name it, they cannot erase it from memory. The impression left by a marked life is not dependent on fame or visibility. It is not the stage that makes it eternal, but the substance. A single act of courage in the face of fear, a word of truth spoken when silence would have been easier, an unshaken hope in the middle of despair. These are the moments that carve themselves into the hearts of those watching. They remember because they witnessed something rare. In a world where many bend, you stood. In a world where many curse, you blessed. In a world where many retreat, you endured. Such moments cannot be forgotten because they are not ordinary. They carry a glow of the eternal, and once seen, they remain as a quiet witness in the memory of those who saw. Marked lives often carry this weight without realizing it. You may not feel extraordinary when you show kindness to one who wrongs you, yet the one who witnesses it may carry the memory for a lifetime. You may not think much of your steady faith in hard times, but someone else, seeing it, may be given the courage to endure their own trial. You may not even notice the consistency with which you choose integrity, but to someone longing for an example, it becomes a silent sermon. What feels to you like ordinary obedience becomes extraordinary testimony to those around you. This is the hidden power of being set apart. You live not only for yourself, but for the countless lives that brush against yours and leave changed. The story God writes on a life marked by His hand is not fragile. It weathers storms, endures trials, and shines brighter precisely because it passes through difficulty. People remember you not because you avoided hardship, but because you faced it differently. They remember not because you never stumbled, but because when you stumbled, you rose again. They remember not because you never wept, but because in your tears you still carried hope. These things mark them as much as they mark you, and long after the details fade, the impression remains. They may forget your words, but they will not forget the way your life pointed to something beyond itself. This is why opposition cannot erase the mark. Critics may try to dismiss it, enemies may try to silence it, but the story written by God resists erasure. Like ink burned into parchment, it cannot be scrubbed away without destroying the very fabric itself. Even those who fight against what you stand for cannot shake the memory of your life. In fact, sometimes those most resistant are the ones most deeply marked. They wrestle with it in secret, remembering the glow of truth they tried to reject, recalling the steadiness they wished to disprove. What they cannot deny is that they saw something real, and that reality leaves its trace long after their arguments fade. There is a quiet permanence in a marked life. Generations may pass, but the story continues. A child watches the faith of a parent, and it becomes the foundation of their own. A neighbor sees the resilience of another, and it inspires them to hold on. A community feels the impact of one faithful soul, and the ripple extends far beyond the moment. The influence outlives the life itself, because the mark was never merely human. It was divine, and what God marks He preserves. What He sets apart, He makes into a testimony that endures. You may not recognize this permanence while you live it. To you, it may feel like struggle, like obscurity, like simple obedience. but the watching world is storing away impressions you do not see. Your words echo in their minds, your actions replay in their memory, your hope whispers in their silence. You become to them a reminder that something greater is possible, that the light they glimpsed in you might one day be theirs. You are not easily forgotten because God has woven his story into yours, and his story cannot be erased. It is a sobering and beautiful truth that you are, even now, leaving marks upon those around you. Some marks are immediate, others are slow to unfold, but all are lasting. A life set apart carries weight that lingers. You may never know who remembers you years from now, who recalls a choice you made, who draws strength from your example. But heaven knows and heaven sees, and heaven uses your life to impress upon others the reality of what it means to be chosen. What you carry is not fleeting, what you embody is not temporary. You are part of a story luminous enough to pierce the forgetfulness of the world, a story written by the hand of God himself, and such a story cannot be erased.